loves radio.
What up, Mets fans? Welcome to the MetsBeat Podcast, Volume 2. I'm your host, B-Mel. Sitting here with the affable D-Train. We're talking Met baseball. Yes, there's still another half. The All-Star Game, Home Run Derby, the Yankees, their shiny new slugger, Aaron Judge. And if we have time, we'll rock the disaster that is Knicks basketball. Football training camp is less than 2 months away. And the fact that I think McGregor is an absolute clown. But first, how you chugging along, D-Train?
Not too bad, B-Mel. I am here. We are rocking. We are rolling. We're live.
Fantastic.
For all these beautiful people that are listening out there right now.
Hell yeah. You did a great job setting up, man. I'll tell you that. You came in. Yeah, everything was set up before I got here in this studio that is blazing hot. So you did a great job.
I think you could literally cook an egg on this table right now if you cracked it open.
Legit.
Right now.
But as MetsBeat grows, we will grow into air conditioning, hopefully. The last time I spoke to you, you spilt coffee on your white pants. How'd that turn out? Did you go to the dry cleaners or what?
Honestly, I have not. I have thrown them in the laundry room and just neglected them since then.
It's been like 3 weeks.
Yeah, I know. So God knows what kind of things are going on in that stain. But, you know, it's all right.
As you wipe your forehead in the hot studio.
I just, been wearing the black pants since then. And if you spill coffee on black pants, nobody knows.
You're good to go.
Great.
Do you drink your coffee black? I drink my coffee black.
No, I have a heart and a soul, so I actually put milk and sugar in my coffee.
That's funny. All right, so let's get kicking with the Mets. They're 39-47 at the halfway mark, 12 games back in the NL East, 10.5 games back for the second wild card, currently held by the Rockies. Call me crazy, and I know I'm in the minority, but I do think there's life to be had in this team. I do think they have a chance to overcome this mountainous grave that they jumped into. But D-Train, if you want to be my therapist, call me crazy, I'm fine with that.
I don't want to call you crazy because of what they've shown you in the past. I think the Mets have proven to be a second-half team more times than not. It's just a matter of getting that spark because Cespedes was that spark for them a couple years back, and I don't know if the pieces are available or if the front office is willing to part with what you need to get, that major today contributing player. So whether or not Sandy wants to get rid of them and, get a today guy that can really catapult them through the second half, we'll see.
Listen, we have 2 weeks before the trade deadline, okay? 2 weeks, let me see what this team can do before you sell anybody off. Listen, if somebody comes knocking on the door with a trade like the Cubs just gave so much up for Quintana, listen, take it. You're going to take it. And I think I know Jay Bruce is a first-half player. So if somebody's willing to pay up for some of those players, yes, go ahead and take it. But I don't think you're going to get a big haul for guys that are eventual free agents after this year. I think you're going to get fringe players. So let it play out for 2 weeks. Let's see where we are. Now, I tweeted the other day on MetsBeat. The Mets have 129 home runs. That's good for second in the NL. They rank 28th in ERA at 4.94. Okay?
That run difference is incredible.
This team, though, I think, if they can get anything out of that pitching, can rattle off 15 out of 20, find themselves at least fighting, in my opinion. They definitely have the bats. They have the pitching if it can come around. Do you think that we're going to get anything out of Harvey, Thor, DeGrom, continue to see dominance out of DeGrom other than those two horrid starts, and see if Matz is going to stay healthy? That's a question.
I think the pitching can come around, especially as the summer heats up and these guys get more and more loose. I just don't agree with you where you say they have bats. I think Granderson is certainly heated up. I think
How do you not agree with me there?
Because the bottom half of the order just doesn't get on. I mean, who is your 7-8 before the pitcher has to bunt over?
I'm not even worried.
Is it Reyes
I'm not worried
who's still
about
hitting under the Mendoza line, or?
I'm not worried about the 7-8. Our bats with Conforto, Bruce, Grandy, Cespedes, they can knock in runs. I mean, this team, time and time again.
That's four guys, and you got to make sure that they're batting with runners in scoring position. If they're the only guys getting on, who's driving them in?
I'm just saying, well, we need Conforto. Listen, I know everybody's high on Conforto. The guy's batting .282, and I think he's done great. I wasn't that high on him coming into the year. I will openly admit that, and I'm so happy I'm wrong, and he's the only all-star that the Mets have. But the fact remains that he's a .282 hitter. He has not put together an entire year of stud baseball. It just has not happened yet. So until I see that, I am not sold on Conforto. Let me see him do it for the rest of the year. Is he gonna listen? I'm of the belief that he's gonna bat under 300 when the season's
at the end of September.
Done at the end of September. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, where is he at now? Is he still? He's not in the
He's
astronomical.
at 282.
Oh, okay. So then
He
really
can
did
get
come,
it. He
but
can
he came
certainly
back
get
down. He was like well over for a while. He was like 330.
He was sporting 330, 312 for a while, but I just listen. I do hope and I do see a 300 type hitter in our midst, but I'm skeptical on this year. I hope I'm wrong again, and he does it. You know what I mean? But I still think with the bats in the lineup, Grandy, Bruce, Cespedes, we can knock off solo 1, 2, 3-run home runs, and if our pitching can give us anything, that's plenty for me.
I feel like then you're still just one more negative thing away from it all falling apart, whether it be an injury, a PED, a domestic dispute, whatever it may be. You know, one of those guys gets hurt and the whole thing blows up.
Listen, it can't get any worse than it is now. I mean, I've never, it's so funny. It is a constant theme with this Mets organization, these injuries. Even before the World Series run, the year before that, it was just absolute constant injuries. And this year, I mean, the bug has certainly bit everybody. And I keep replaying the Neil Walker injury going down to first base. I could see it right now. It looked like somebody shot him from the stands. I mean, it's certainly disheartening.
Now, how did what's his name go down? The gentleman we were speaking about earlier, the one with the collapsed lung.
We're talking about Brandon Nimmo.
Yeah, Brandon.
Who has a great smile, by the way. No homo.
Nemo?
Yeah.
Brandon Nemo? How did he get injured? Did you...
I don't think he got hit or anything like that. I think it just showed up
lung
one
could
day
have
that
been,
he had a collapsed lung.
I guess that was off the field then.
Yeah, it was definitely off the field.
I mean, that's exactly the type of season the Mets are having, where that bug is getting these guys where you don't even have to be playing ball. You're still not playing anymore.
Absolutely crazy that this team is ravaged with injuries. All right, so I'm keeping my hope alive. I still have my $100 Vegas ticket that they're going to win the World Series, 20-1. So hopefully we go through. But listen, I'm a season ticket holder. I want the best for the Mets. I think they'll come through.
I feel like with where the Nationals are at right now, and trailing that far back from the second wild card, it's baseball. Anything can happen. There's 80 games left. There's a trade deadline, and all those things you have to play into consideration. But I feel like this Mets team hasn't showed it to you yet. They haven't showed you.
They absolutely have not. And I want to see the next 2 weeks. I want to see Ahmed Rosario come up. We were chatting about him a couple weeks ago. It's time to bring him up. It's time to go into the future a little bit, look into the crystal ball and say, do we have a shot? And I think you're going to see that over the next 2 weeks. You won, I think it was 3 series in a row. Then you lost the last series. They showed some sign of life. If we can do anything over these 2 weeks, let's do it.
It makes it tough for the GM to make that decision, though, as to whether or not he's going to buy or sell. If you're going to be 50-50, win 3 series and lose 1, he wants to see you win all those series consecutively, especially getting into the All-Star break where the Mets have, I believe you guys have a tough schedule coming out the break, right?
We do. I mean, we can pull that up. I didn't even look at it. I don't have it in front of me. We can get it.
Yeah, I remember heading into the All-Star break, taking a look at both the Yankees and Mets schedule upcoming and knowing that I know they have an interleague series, I believe, with the Mariners, so,
We got 3 against the Rockies. We have 4 against the Cardinals, 3 against the Athletics.
That's the Athletics.
Then we got the Padres. MetsBeat will be on location Thursday. Thursday,
Live stream
July
from the show.
Yep.
From the
Thursday,
the
July 27th. We'll be at location at Petco. Hopefully, Ahmed Rosario will be there. Then we got the Rockies again. I think we can make some movement. We have to start winning. That's all it is. And if that doesn't happen,
with conviction though. It can't be these, 3-2 games where you're lucky that you got a guy on because of an error and a walk and a stolen base.
Listen, you're going to have the 3-2 games. It's going to happen.
Of course, it's baseball.
But you're right. They need to come out slugging. They need to come out pitching well.
Because that Mets team that won the pennant, a couple years back was intimidating.
They
you
beat
did not
people up.
want to see that team.
You were scared of that.
Yeah,
staff.
I mean, you had Murph. Oh,
You were scared of that staff. Nobody was scared of Murph.
You were scared of
until the
giving up a
playoffs.
run because you knew that staff was going to hold you scoreless through 6 at least.
Right.
So when you had a guy like, you're right. Murphy didn't get the attention until his
nobody was
home
scared
run.
of that until deep in the playoffs.
Right.
It was the staff. The staff is what scared the hell out
And
of
it was the bullpen
everybody.
that was the Achilles heel.
Right.
Which I feel like you guys always have the arms and not necessarily the names. Like the guys in the pen have the numbers, and then the situation comes up and they don't come through.
Right.
But that's what happens when you come into these situations where there's runners on the corners that you didn't put there, and you're getting the feel for your pitch. The very first pitch you might throw is going to be over the plate, and now you're down 2 runs, and only one of them was earned on you.
So, talking about Conforto and his first ever All-Star game, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the Derby. We'll go into your bet with Graz on the Limo Talk show following this program, but I do want to give you some time to wax poetic about the figure that is Aaron Judge and probably the best player in the game today.
Yeah.
And with all due respect to Mike Trout, what he did at the Derby was a joke. He made it look so easy. He did, which to me I didn't like. He did an interview. Well, I forget who was up, but I think it was the first batter. And I'm thinking, why isn't this dude just focusing on...
Oh, you know they dragged him over there.
I'm sure they did,
Yeah.
but I was like, why the hell is he doing that? He should be focused. And boy, did that dude just come in there, made it look so easy.
down.
Go ahead. I'll give you the time. Go ahead.
So first round, he steps in. He's down 22 home runs to nothing. Now, 10 years ago, 5 years ago even, the top 4 guys move on to the next round. Top 2
Right.
guys go to the finals. Simple as that. It's a
Right.
3-round home run derby. Now, it's the bracket style. So it's 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, so on and so forth. So even though the guy that he eliminated, who's that, Bohr from the Marlins?
Yep.
So even though Bohr had 22 home runs and Judge beat him out with 23, you still had Miguel Sano, right?
Yep.
Sneak in there with only 11 home runs. So I think Major League Baseball needs to take a look at the bracket situation.
So let's delve into that. Let's talk about the format of it. All right. So admittedly, I was not excited to watch the home run derby. All I wanted to see was the first go around for Giancarlo and Judge, and I really just wanted to see
Sanchez
Judge.
didn't appeal to you?
No, I mean I still think he's a great player, but I think Judge is must-watch TV. And I think Stanton, especially in his own ballpark, is must-watch TV because he can hit the hell out of the ball. So
Yeah.
I told, and I probably should have told you because you were probably more glued than he was. I told my best friend, listen, just let me know when Judge and Stanton are going up to the box, and I'll turn it on. And I was legitimately watching NBA Summer League.
Summer League?
I had no interest in watching that derby. I have really never had any interest in watching the derby, and I'm also in the minority that thinks the All-Star game should have something on the line for it, okay? I like the fact that it's NL versus AL for home field advantage, has nothing to do with anything, but I'm a bettor. I like some, but let's focus on the derby, okay? I love the timing. I didn't like it at first, but as you were watching it, I liked the timing. I disliked the bonus round. I don't know why. I just don't. It was weird to me.
I can tell you why. It might be subconscious for you. What doesn't make sense to me about the bonus time is you need to hit 2 home runs over 440 feet to earn only 30 seconds of home run time. Now, what if you hit 30 600-foot home runs? You don't get a minute of bonus time? You don't get a minute and a half?
Say that again, because I think the bonus time was if you hit 15 home runs.
No. If you hit,
Are you sure?
If you hit 2 home runs over the distance of 440 feet, due to the amount of time that it has to travel, they'll throw on 30 seconds for you.
That's a joke.
So now Judge hit 4 home
That's a
runs
joke.
over 500 feet. Why doesn't he get... Obviously, it's also astronomical to give a guy
Okay.
an extra minute of time as well.
I get what you're saying. You obviously watched a lot closer than I did. I was under the
This
assumption...
is also the second or third year they've had, and I've watched closely the past few years.
Oh, for the past 3 years, it's been like this, same
The
format?
bracket formats and,
No, but it wasn't-
and clocks
Oh, it
started.
has been?
Yeah.
And
Definitely-
bonuses?
Definitely last year.
And
Definitely
bonuses?
For sure, yes, because it was also in the Major League MLB The Show, the video game.
Okay, so you know the rules better than I was. So when I was watching Judge, the first time he was up, as soon as he hit that, I mean, we were all before he got up, you had to have been a little, oh, wait, maybe he's not going to get past.
Oh yeah, when the guy hit, what the person I was with was being pessimistic, and I was like, "Don't count him out." I said, "Don't count him out."
But the doubt crept in a little. It had to have. I mean, Bohr killed it. He absolutely killed it. But as soon as Judge hit that 15th home run, I could have sworn they said, "Okay, as soon as he hits that 15, he gets bonus." But maybe the 15th was over 400.
440. Yeah.
440. Is that what it is?
That's what the.
See, to me, that's a joke because whether it goes 8,000 feet or right over the fence,
if it's hit on a line, it gets out quicker.
it's a home run. It doesn't matter to me, time, anything like that. So bonuses to me should be on a specific home run, whether it's 15, 12, 18, or whatever it is.
They're trying to say because it takes a ball, so long to get out. If a ball's traveling 440 feet, it takes longer than a ball traveling 298 that just got over the wall.
I don't care how it
But
gets
then
out.
again,
It's a home run derby.
a ball could travel 500 feet quicker than a ball travels 300 feet, depending on the trajectory.
Exactly.
You know.
But you know what? It's a home run derby. We're just trying to say. When you look back and you're going to say, oh, Josh Hamilton, what was his longest home run or how many did he hit? He hit 21.
He put on a clinic, Hamilton. But what I don't like about the new format is how what Hamilton did and what Judge did are now in two separate realms. And who did it better?
Right.
Because if you give Judge unlimited time and 10 outs, Judge barely made any outs. Stanton was hitting grounders after
1,000%.
grounders after grounders. Stanton was not getting the ball in the air.
That was my second point, and that's a fantastic job by you because that's exactly what I was thinking. How are you now? And that's the issue with changing rules so dramatically because you alter what's wonderful about sports, comparing eras
the
and
numbers.
comparing
like
the
how
numbers.
do you compare Babe
years.
Ruth's home run record to Roger Maris's with the 54 to 662?
How the hell are you going to compare now an epic performance from Hamilton? And I get it doesn't really,
especially at Old Yankee Stadium in his final year.
It doesn't take much away from it. I mean, it's a fantastic
And
performance.
he has a Cinderella story, the whole drug addiction, alcohol.
Of course.
It was a nice story.
But exactly like you said, you put Judge in there.
He's not making it out.
Limit.
Yeah, and he can take pitches. You can't take pitches with the clock. I mean, you can, but the clock's ticking. So Judge said what he was doing. Why he was using all parts of the field is because he didn't want to take a pitch. The ball's away, I'm going away. The ball's in, hook it. Well, I mean, I guess for him, it'd be the other way around. The ball's in, he's going to hook it. Ball's away, slap it down the right field line. So, I mean, what he did, honestly, was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen because, like I said, what the Mets have to do is with conviction. Judge wasn't hitting these little BBs out. He was hitting these moonshots.
And he kept doing
He's hitting the glass. He's hitting 500. What really, really angered me about this home run derby was the broadcasters. It wasn't that one's hit deep to left, back, it's out of here. Nothing like that.
I don't
it
like
was
that, though.
Three people.
I hate Berman. I don't like Berman doing that.
It was three people having a conversation. When he hit the ball 513 feet, they didn't acknowledge it. Tex had to get Mark Teixeira was on the panel. He was like, guys, did you see that? You guys aware of what just happened?
That's so funny that two people with different opinions on that. I never enjoyed Berman doing that because I thought it was too much. In a home run derby, I mean, every time back,
all right, that might be too much, but to not acknowledge what Judge was doing, they were just like,
I liked it.
And
I thought it was fair.
One of the main reasons why I felt that way is because a couple months ago, I'm listening to the Michael Kay show, and Michael Kay had the opportunity to do a postseason game on the radio, instead of calling a Yankees television game. So a gentleman called up, and he told him he really loves the way he calls a game because he's blind, and Michael really paints the picture for him. So I felt, there's a blind baseball fan out there watching the Derby. You don't know what Judge is doing. You have no idea. They're not saying the home run count, the distance. They're literally just talking.
I felt like they were, I mean, I'd have to go back and listen to it, which I'm obviously not going to do. I'm assuming you're not going to do it either, even though how much you love Judge. But I thought it was real. And, with Berman, we'll go back to the football roots with Berman. That whole thing came from 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown.
Right.
That only happens every once in a while. You know what I mean? I didn't like it for the home runs, especially because it's a derby. If you're talking about a regular baseball game, I'm okay with that. But to do it over and over again, it wears very thin for me. It's not real. I get it. Maybe those particular broadcasters didn't paint the picture that you would have liked to have seen, but I liked it better than what Berman did.
They were definitely real. They were just talking the game, which was real.
It wasn't Joe Buck, was it? Because
He called the All-Star game on Fox. The home run derby is on ESPN.
Not a fan of Joe Buck.
I literally despise Joe Buck. I mean, he is the most biased.
He's biased to the Giants.
Yeah, and I mean, when the Yankees were in the World Series in 2009, You're telling... Oh, no, I'm sorry. Aaron Boone hits a walk-off home run to send the Yankees to the World Series in 2003. Now, if you hear the radio feed, it's, that ball's hit deep to left, there it goes, and the Yankees are going to the World Series. Aaron Boone, the hero in Game 7.
Sure, yeah.
On the first pitch off a knuckleball by Tim Wakefield in the 11th inning. Joe Buck's call? That might send the Yankees to the World Series.
And that's it?
That is it.
That's
the end of it. There's nothing.
I
You
never
don't even know what
compared the two.
happened.
That's
You
a
don't know
great
what-
job. A great job by you. I never compared the two. Compared the two. I mean, listen, I think you're hard pressed to find anybody on Long Island, let alone New York, that likes Joe Buck. But let's bring it full circle. Tell me if you think Aaron Judge hits 50 home runs. I'm still undecided. I think he's going to be right around it. He's at 30 now, right?
He is at the 30 mark, and the impressive thing about being at the 30 mark before the or at the break, even though we've eclipsed the 81 game mark, so let's not say we're at the halfway point. He's a little bit past it. Joe DiMaggio held the Yankees' home run record as a rookie with 29, and Aaron Judge has 30 at the break. So that is absolutely absurd. He is on pace to double and have 60 home runs this year. So not only do I think he will hit the 50, I believe he will approach 60. I think he'll flirt with that high 57, 58, 59. And who's to say he doesn't break down the wall of 60 and get to 62. I think he can, if he stays healthy. And Girardi's really good with managing players' playing time, whether it's pitchers in the bullpen not pitching in 3 consecutive games,
right,
or it's just sharing the DH. In the American League, you don't need the DH to be one guy,
right,
which it was for a couple years with the Yankees with, A-Rod, really. So just share that DH spot, get him in there. We've got plenty of outfielders, especially when Hicks returns. So I do think he can do it, and I think he's got the mentality where he's not aiming for it, so he's going to just try to win ball games. He's going to make contact. He's going to work at bats. So that's all he's doing, and that's the thing. It's not like he's 0-2 and he's, defending the plate and then he happens to smack a home run out. This guy is working full counts, fouling pitches off, hitting doubles, hitting singles, walking an absurd amount of times. I think he's also blowing the walks record out of proportion as well.
So this is not in my show prep. Why don't we make a bet over/under for home runs? What do you think his number is? What does he get to? And what does he get to? And what's a comfortable over/under for you? Season total for home runs for Aaron Judge. He has 30 right now. You think he can break 60?
I think he will get to 60, so I'll say over 59.
You're going 59. I think he can get to 62. Why don't we split the difference at 60 over/under?
I'll say he'll hit under 60, if that's what it's gonna be.
No. I'm doing the under.
Oh, so
I'm doing the
you
under.
just told me you think he's gonna get to 62.
I think his high end is 62.
I'm not entirely sure that he'll actually
Give me a number.
59. I'll take over 59.
Give me the number that you're comfortable with, and we're gonna put up that $50 that you won from me earlier in the year. What was that bet? That was just the Mets game, right? That was just the plain Met game.
No, there was
No, it was just a plain Met game.
You're right.
D-Train won a $50 Met bet against me. I hate losing.
And then I brought a bottle of Black Label last show.
Did you?
Yeah, and then you Venmo'd me.
What does the bottle of black have to do with it?
Because that was like in celebration of the
just
first
to
MetsBeat
celebrate?
show. The I knew you were giving me money. I was like,
you
just
did
get the bottle.
You did a good job. You did a good job. Okay, so you want to do $50, 59? Oh, that's a tough one.
I'll take it. Over 59. I feel like every time I put money on this Yankees team is when they start.
All right,
going
I'll
off
tell
the
you
rails.
what. I'll do it if you want to do it. $50. I take the under, you take the over if you want to do it.
They're not going to pitch to him in September once, dude. He's not going to get in that bat. He's going to be 0 for 0 with 600 walks. No, I don't want to do it.
You're playing with house money right now.
No, I'm not. That money's long gone.
Playing with house money. You're plus 50.
We'd have to over 55.
No way. I'll give you.
Like I said, we're past the halfway point. We're not at 81.
I'll give you 58 and a half. So if he hits the 59th home run, you win.
I did think he was going to flirt with that number and not actually get it. So I'll take that. 58
Done.
and a half.
Sold. Pounded.
All right.
All right. So 58 and a half. All right. So let's touch on the New York Knicks because I am absolutely disgusted with how Steve Mills has gone about the post-Phil Jackson era. I don't know what the final straw was, but you fire the guy a week before he drafts somebody for the past. It's past its prime triangle. Then they admit they would have took Malik Monk or Dennis Smith Jr. You signed Tim Hardaway Jr. to an absurd 4-year contract at $20 million more than what the Hawks offered him. Then you give $9 million to a guy who averaged 4 points a game in Ron Baker. Please tell me, D-Train, I'm dreaming, and this is just a requiem of the Isaiah Thomas era. Any idea? I mean, I know you're not a basketball guy. I know you probably don't.
You're backing up even further to where I was less of a basketball guy. Like, I'm aware of what's going on right now, for sure. So whatever was going on in the past, if you're able to draw comparisons, then if the shoe fits.
Right.
The shoe fits. But to let the man draft, I can't wrap my head around that. To not drop the triangle, I can't wrap my head around that. There's just so many nonsensical things. The only thing that makes sense is, as a business owner, the Knicks are doing fine. They're one of the top 5 most valuable NBA franchises obviously in the NBA.
Right.
They do fine in the Garden. The Garden is nothing short of a spectacle for tourists. So they don't have a problem when it comes to funding. They're not a Midwest team who is struggling to, make ends meet. So for the owners, who cares? Who cares? But there are some new reports coming out about a replacement GM.
So, yeah, they're going to get the GM from the Kings. I like him. He drafted Kevin Durant. He drafted De'Aaron Fox this past draft. The issue with bringing that gentleman in, and if you can grab his name because I forgot it already.
Yeah, Scott Perry. He was actually he was a Kings executive who might come to the Knicks as a GM, which kind of I don't understand. What is that going to do with?
So here's the issue. It's not going to do anything, and the reason is a guy by the name of James Dolan who owns, you obviously know who owns the Knicks. And the issue is because he still has in place Steve Mills.
That's what I'm saying. So what is Steve Mills' true responsibility if he's going to bounce from president to GM back down to president? What are you actually doing?
So a week ago, they were going to, I don't know if you heard this, they were entertaining trying to hire David Griffin, who was the ex-GM of the Cavs, who got fired by Dan Gilbert for basically no reason. And Dan Gilbert is kind of a douche.
Is this pre or post re-signing LeBron?
This is 3.5, 4 weeks ago. This is after the season ended, after he got him to the finals. They won a championship.
He got fired?
The owner is just like Dolan. He's kind of a jerk. Well, you know what? I'm sorry. He didn't get fired. He didn't get extended. His contract ended. They were, I apologize. He didn't get fired. They parted ways.
Maybe there's a better, they had...
There wasn't, and there isn't. Really? David Griffin was the answer. LeBron likes him. It was a stupid move. Anyways, so the Knicks fans' pipe dream was to bring David Griffin in. We didn't think it was possible because, it's the Knicks. They never make any good decisions. They bring him in. Griffin comes in and says, yeah, I'm interested in the job. They're probably going to have to overpay him, but whatever. You just gave $50 million to Phil Jackson to leave. So overpay him and get me a GM in here that's competent, anything. So Griffin goes, all right, I'm interested in the job, but I want to bring in my scouts, and I need full power on drafting and bringing players in. They said no. Why in God's name?
Had a plan.
Why in God's name would you want a GM that didn't have a plan, that didn't want to bring his own scouts in, that didn't want full control, that didn't want to be there for the long haul for 10 years for your team? Why do you want to give the power back to Steve Mills, who's obviously getting it from James Dolan and has been making bad decisions for 20 years, for 2 decades? To paint this picture for you, the Knicks have only won 1 playoff series in 17 years.
I didn't know it was that bad.
Years.
But like I said, they're making money. So when you are a Dolan, what do you care when your bank account is...
They were making money
inflated.
In the Isaiah Thomas era. The worst era I have ever seen, and probably any Knick fan, any age, has ever seen, and maybe the worst era in all of sports. okay, with Anuka Brown Sanders and, with bad sexual harassment cases and Stephon Marbury and bad signings and contracts. They were selling out then. They're the Knicks. They're always going to sell out. But for some odd reason, they're giving power to Steve Mills, who is not any better than Phil Jackson. And the latest reports are that they're working on a Carmelo Anthony trade, a 4-team trade.
That's where it starts.
The big holdup is Ryan Anderson, who's actually, if you bring him back, he's more money on the payroll than Carmelo Anthony, and you're not going to do that. So, I mean, that's where we stand with the Knicks. I sent out a rant to YouTube. You can go check that out, and we can move on from there. But I just kind of wanted to paint that picture a little bit.
So, while you're on the topic that is the joke of the Knicks, did you watch
okay,
the
go for
ESPYs? Are you a fan of the ESPYs at all?
I watched, just like the Home Run Derby, I watched a little bit of it. I saw the Peyton Manning,
You were just waiting
Kevin Durant one.
Stanton and Judge to come up the whole time.
Yes, from on the ESPYs, yes.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm playing this video on a whim. I didn't pre-watch it, but one of the jokes that Peyton Manning made about the Knicks had me
I didn't hear that. I love it. Let me hear
rolling.
that.
So I hope this is
I didn't
the
hear
one.
that.
Let's take a look.
They begged me to do these, and I got to tell you, they absolutely make me sick. Check this out. Kristaps Porzingis couldn't believe how dysfunctional it is at Madison Square Garden, and that dude grew up in Latvia.
It's pretty good.
What a terrible year for the Knicks. They had to escort a former legend out of the building for acting like a crazy person. Then there was that whole thing with Charles Oakley.
And that's it. That's the joke. That's the joke.
Wait a second. Why don't I get it? Who was the first crazy person?
Charles Oakley. But that's the joke. They spent the whole season. They probably was. I mean, that probably did happen.
He said that they had to escort a crazy person and
a legend.
And then they had to get rid of Charles Oakley. So who is he insulting? I don't get it.
It's a I don't know. I thought
it's not well. And I play the last part again. It doesn't make any sense to me. And maybe I'll get it the second time around. But as far as what I heard was they had to escort a legend out of the building, and then they had to escort Charles Oakley out. I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense.
Terrible year for the Knicks. They had to
fast forward to the end.
Former legend out of the building for acting like a crazy person. Then there was that whole thing with Charles Oakley.
Are they talking about the
It doesn't make any sense. Play it again. It doesn't make any sense to me. Make it a little louder. Play it again.
To escort a former legend out of the building for acting like a crazy person. Then there was that whole thing with Charles Oakley.
I mean, the only thing that I can think of is that they're just insulting New York and New Yorkers, and maybe there were other legends in the building, and it just happens a lot. That's not, slap my knee funny, though.
Did you hear the borderline? I mean, it's hard to determine what makes someone racist, especially if you're trying to make a joke or whatever. But did you
McGregor?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, you beat me to it, but that is what I wanted to talk about.
You wanted to jump into his Kimmel bit?
I was hoping that you can have that for us queued up. I don't know if you can get to it, but if for those that don't know, the McGregor-Mayweather fight's happening August 26th. It's $99 on pay-per-view. HD, I think, is $89 standard definition. And they embarked on, I believe it's a 7-event tour. Anyways, it's been a couple. They've had 3 events so far, counting tonight in Brooklyn, which started about an hour ago. And the last time that they got together, which was a couple days ago or last night, whenever it was, they had them join back and forth, and McGregor starts saying dance boy in this weird way, and it didn't make any sense. And then what D-Train was alluding to was McGregor was on Kimmel, and Kimmel said to him, would you beat Rocky from Rocky 3? And McGregor's answer was, I don't know, is that the movie with all the dancing monkeys? So now, the one where he says dance boy, you can kind of interpret, you can kind of give him a slip and slide on that, but when he says that about dancing monkeys, I'm so disgusted with this guy. I hope he gets his kick. And I know that that's what he's looking for. I understand that they're trying to spark stuff up, but that's cheap. Why are we going race derivatives? That makes zero sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we have the race issues that we have today, you know, segregation was ended in, you know, decades ago, but yet we still have the racial divide now. And obviously slavery was abolished hundreds of years ago, but yet we still have the racial divide now. So to see these two guys, that they have the platform to be the bigger man and to avoid something like that, but yet you'll still find these types of people having the platform that they do to speak to the whole wide world and conduct themselves like professional fighters. Instead, they're going to go with the low blows instead.
Yeah, I think that's an absolute joke. I think they're trying to buy people. I don't understand why you would go that way. I get that you're trying to create some sort of hype, but why go down that path, especially in this type of climate? I didn't like McGregor before he made these comments. I truly, truly did not. I think he's arrogant. I think he's and listen, Mayweather is arrogant too, but at least he backs it up. What is he, 46-0, 47-0, whatever he is? I can't stand that you're going to go down a racial path like that. How could you say something like that on Kimmel? How could you say something
Especially
like
when
that?
Kimmel's meant to be that lighthearted place. So if you want to make a joke, make a joke. Like, that's fine. That's all fine, you know. But I think he definitely took it a step too far. But then again, I don't think that it was uninstigated. They did have the shot of Mayweather wearing the Irish flag. Now, granted, he wasn't, you know, doing anything wrong. He wasn't vandalizing it. He wasn't setting it on fire or anything like that, or stomping on it, spitting on it, whatever. So he definitely sparked a little anger inside the Irish fan base that, you know, McGregor has. But for McGregor to turn around and say that, and I think it went over a lot of people's heads too, because I mean, it's very hard to pick up.
It did
in the interview.
It did, but they're in Brooklyn tonight. We'll see what happens. But that's it, folks. Thank you for sticking with us for a short but necessary 30-minute Mets beat break. We'll catch you next time from Govs Radio here on Long Island. Limo Talk up next. That was D-Train. I'm B-Mel. Peace.
Govs Radio.